Alright, so when I was assigned this 20% project, I did not know what to do. And for me, that was actually kind of a good thing because I wanted to get an adventure out of this project. And I could tell that Hank didn't have anyone to do it with, so I asked him what he was doing, and it turns out he wanted to make a video game, and it sounded good. So
for our 20% project, we decided to create a video game from scratch. We had never done this before, so it was a new experience for us, and we were very interested to do it.
now, you might think, why video games? Well, first of all, even though none of us have ever made one or attempted to make one, we don't have any coding experience or anything of that sort. However, both of us really like to play them, and we figured, why don't we see both sides of the spectrum? We like to play them, we know the fun that goes on with playing video games, why don't we try to make one for other people to enjoy? So that's what we set out to do. So now we're going to talk a little bit about the process. Our first challenge was figuring out what programs we were going to use to make the game. We wanted things that were cheap. Since this was our first game, we didn't want to commit to anything too big. And we eventually found two perfect programs to use.
So for the art, we used a program called Pisco, which is an online art designer in which you can create pixel designs and animations, which we would use for the characters and the animations for the game. And for creating the game itself, we used a software called Stencil, which was what we think was the easiest method for us to create the game with.
Yeah, it was very user-friendly, and both programs worked out very well for us. So anyway, when we set out to create the project, we wanted to keep it organized, so we divided our jobs into two jobs. I would be in charge of creating the characters and designing the in-game objects and characters, and he would be in charge.
I would be in charge of creating the entire game and putting it all together using the designs that Finn created.
Alright, so let's start about on the roadblocks of creating. So there's a little spaceman. There's a draft that we had for the game. So normally I would create maybe one of these per 20% time day, maybe two if it worked well. I would send one over to Hank in a GIF file, and if he had any critiques for it, he would send it back, maybe have me do some extra work on it. Here are some other examples. We have a spider, a little bird, a walking man. That would be a power-up. That never actually made it into the game, but considering it, and that is actually a death platform. But anyway, so I would create one of these, and Hank would say, you know, maybe we should make it animate this way. That'd be easier for me to put it into the game and incorporate it that way. So it was just really fun for me to be able to create those characters. And you'll notice that many of these things have different themes. We didn't want to have one set thing. We figured that'd be kind of boring. We wanted to make it a lot more open. We wanted to have we felt like this would make it a lot more fun. Now Hank is going to explain his side, like using Stencil.
So for creating Stencil, I first had to learn how to use it. So I looked up a few tutorials online and got myself familiar with all the controls and how to use the software. Then I started implementing parts of the creation, the animations and the blocks that Finn had created, and started adding them into the game and creating like the levels and different enemies and characters and the controls and everything like that.
Alright, so the game as of right now is not actually 100% finished and polished off. We're still debating whether or not we want to finish the game, but it's safe to say that this experience, this project, paved a big road for things we had never done before and things that we might want to do in the future. I don't know, maybe because of this project I would like to go into animation or art or game making. And I don't know, I felt like it kind of opened up a couple of windows for me, and I'm sure it did the same for Hank. So even though the game is not exactly finished yet, just going through the process of making the game taught us a bit about how to work together, and taught us quite a few things that we can go forward and use. And it was fun along the way.
So a few roadblocks that we had along with creating the game was that we really had like a very broad thing to do. We sometimes had like problems communicating with each other, and
Communication was a big problem, especially since we were using two different programs that we needed to have them converge.
And if we could do this thing differently, I think that we could probably have put more time into it because it's not finished, and I believe that we probably could have completed it if we had put more time into it.
Yeah. So this overall was actually one of the funnest projects I've done all year, just making the game and going through the entire process. So I don't know, hopefully you guys have taken maybe something away from this project, and thank you for listening to our speech.